Hello, everyone. My name is Nadim. This is NXL 360. And that's where you should be with the AFCON starting on Sunday, on the 21st of December 2025. I'm not alone, obviously. I've got Kola, Mlambo, and Coach KP. Guys, it's an interesting week for African football. The Africa Cup of Nations is upon us, starting in a few days' time. We're expecting Bafana obviously to win the AFCON. It's very easy. In the last AFCON, they lost in the semi-final. Now they need to do better than the last AFCON, which is to at least reach the final or win the AFCON. So I'm not alone, obviously, guys. You are also part of the team, our subscribers. Thank you so much for sharing and also growing us. I mean, we started like just under 2 weeks or so, but the podcast is doing very well. We appreciate that and we don't take it for granted. Please continue recommending us to your friends. I mean, we heard that I want to congratulate Tulan Tlachayo, who has been selected as the SAFU president. I mean, I thought he was still a player, but now he's a president of footballers. What is the role of the SAFU president? I mean, players are being ill-treated in South Africa, but they're always having president of SAFU. Do they exist for any reason, Kola? Welcome, guys. Let's hit the show running. Bafana is playing in the AFCON on Monday, but the most important one is Morocco is starting on Sunday. Welcome, Kola and Coach KP.
Thank you, Nadim, and good evening to everyone and the viewers.
Good evening, and
Coach.
thank you for having us, Nadim. Yeah. Yes, Nadim.
Coach, how's your anniversary? I know that on Monday we're celebrating an anniversary. Have you started with pre-anniversary arrangements?
So far so good. All in because of the grace of God. Let's wait until the day comes. So far so good.
8 years anniversary, ne?
Yeah. In marriage.
So
In
marriage. But when did you meet?
Yeah. We met 2013 in Alexander. She was still in matric. Yeah. No, she was in matric. I was on my first year of an intern. Yeah.
Oh,
in fact, yeah, just before I got my internship, she was in medicine. That's when we met.
Oh, that time you were single or you were seeing other girls or when you met her? What was the story?
I was just out of a long-term relationship.
And then I told her the right one. No. Okay, coach. All the best in your anniversary. We encourage marriage, guys. Kola is also gonna get married very soon. Yeah, but now we're not talking about marriage. We're talking about the Africa Cup of Nations. Kola, what's your take? Morocco. Obviously, they've not won the AFCON since 1976. Almost 50 years the last time they won the AFCON. What are you expecting from them? Please take us through Group A and tell us what can we expect. We know that there's Morocco, Mali, Zambia, and Comoros.
Yeah, thank you, Nadim. It's a very interesting group, and Morocco are expected to come out tops. They are the tournament's favorites, and they are playing the tournament at home, so which gives them an advantage. And looking back into the AFCON history, most of the countries that are playing at home, they are bound to doing good. We can take it back to South Africa when they won it. It was playing here in South Africa. We can take it to countries like Ivory Coast. When they won it, they were playing in Ivory Coast. You know, now I think it's their time to do away with such a long streak of not winning the AFCON. I mean, seeing what they did in the World Cup, it gives them a greater advantage ahead, and the confidence with the star-studded squad that they have. Everyone is expecting them to do good and go all the way, and they have the pressure of their supporters that are local based, they will be there supporting them in numbers. You know, so I'm expecting Morocco to come out tops and Mali as well. You know, looking at Mali, they also have great players like Abo Bissou who are playing in England. But we can't write away Abo or Zambia because they know how to win the tournament as much as they don't have well-known players. One of their most known player is the striker Udaka, who's playing in England, the second division for Leicester City. So it's interesting. We don't know if Zambia is going to come up and spoil the party for the hosts, or Mali will come up tops with maybe Comoros, because Comoros and Comoros and Zambia, meant to say, they are not expected to make it out of the group, but we'll see how it goes.
Coach,
Yeah,
what's your
Nadim,
take about Group A?
I think I share the same sentiment with Tola. I mean, Morocco seems to be the favorites on paper. Looking at the fact that they are the ones with the longest run ever, they've overtaken Spain. You look at their previous World Cup journey where they came out in the semifinals, their World Cup qualifier, they went on a clean sweep. So it looks like it's a team that is ready, but that is only on paper. You also look at their under 20 in this year winning the World Cup. They're doing well. It's a nation that is currently doing very well. You look at their key players, Ibrahim from Real Madrid, Hakimi, for me, the best right back in the world currently, but he'll definitely not start the two games of the group stages. I think Morocco should be able to win that group, followed by Mali for me, mainly because of you look at the experience that Mali brings into the team. You look at the players like Ibrahim Sissoko, whom for me I think will be boss in the middle field. Comoros and Zambia, for me, it's a no-go. So for me, the group winners, Morocco, followed by Mali.
Yeah, no, it's difficult to agree with you. With Morocco having players who are playing, I mean, Brahim Diaz plays for Real Madrid. Achraf Hakimi is the current CAF player of the year, plays for PSG, Champions League winner. And then when you look at the goalkeeper, Bono is one of the best goalkeepers in the world. I mean, people saying Ronan Williams is the best goalkeeper in Africa. It's a lie. This boy, I mean, he played in the Champions League at a high level. Now he's playing in Saudi Arabia. He also played in the Champions League World Cup semi-final. When they knocked out Spain, he was very key. He saved like 3 penalties against Spain. So he's a top goalkeeper, because Williams, yes, people they're saying he saved penalties, but this one has saved it at a World Cup quarterfinal levels. So with Morocco, I agree with you guys. Even with Mali, they lost in the semi-final, I mean quarterfinal last year against Ivory Coast, when they lost to the eventual winners of the AFCON. But it's going to be interesting. Let's move on to Group B. Group B, guys, we've got Egypt, where we know that they've got one of the best players in Africa, Mohamed Salah, Liverpool, and it's also the captain of the Egyptian side, and also in South Africa is there. I mean, we've got boys who are expecting so much from Hugo Bruce, then Angola, and then we also have got Zimbabwe. But with Zimbabwe, it's like there are a lot of local-based players again. What's your take, Paula, with Group B? And obviously, you have to tell us how far do you think Bafana Bafana will go?
Yeah, it's a very interesting group, Nadimi Group B. I mean, you look at the Egyptian team, it's mainly dominated by players who are playing in Egypt. They've got players who are playing for Abu Pyramids. They just won the Champions League, like Africa, and you've got
When they
high quality
defeated
players like
Sundowns and Orlando Pirates, yeah.
you've got AMA players that are playing at the highest level. I mean, they have Mo Salah playing for Liverpool. They've got Abu Mamouche playing for Man City. So with the combinations of having most players that are playing at home and they are doing well in Africa, it leaves a huge room of great performance for them, and they definitely wouldn't want to do bad against the South Africa, because the last AFCON that they played against the South Africa knocked them out. So I don't think they want to go through the same disaster, because it will leave a lot of questions from their federations and their supporters. You look at South Africa. South Africa is also one of the top teams now that has caught a lot of eyes. I mean, European teams have been asking about Abu Mokoena. So it's a huge confidence boost for us as well, to saying we've got recognition from all over the continent. So I think the boys also need to go there. They are no longer underdogs. They are a force to be reckoned with. So it's not going to be an easy thing. Once you go into a tournament and people are laying their eyes on you, there's some sort of pressure, not only coming from home, but coming from the scouters outside. So it's also a huge opportunity for young players like Abu Mufokeng, players like Abo Apolis, players like Abo Vrovai, to saying, we are still in the market, guys, come and take us. Because what more do we expect? And we also have, like, in the group, Angola, they are underdogs, but they have a fairly good squad. Most of their players are playing in Europe. So we can't take nothing away from them. I mean, they wouldn't be here if they were just a team that's a walkover. Even Coach Hugo Boss mentioned the first game against them, it's not going to be an easy game. It's going to be a difficult game. If I quote correctly, he even said this Angolan team, if they can play 10 games against, I forgot which country they were playing up against, they lost 1-0. But he said if they can play 10 more games and they play the same way, they would only lose the one that they lost and won 9. So it shows Uguti is well aware of their capabilities as well. And not writing out is Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe, they are the underdogs of the group, and we know we AFCON with the underdogs. They are party spoilers. We can be expecting Uguti Egypt are gonna come out tops with South Africa to go into the knockout stages, only to be disappointed by Angola and Zimbabwe. So we can't leave anything unattended to. So it's a very interesting group. I am rooting for South Africa to make it out of it with Egypt, but we'll see as the tournament goes, because we can only take it one game at a time.
Coach KP, Group B.
Yeah,
Are you
with me, I would.
expecting surprises from Zimbabwe, from Angola and Zambia? What Angola and Zimbabwe? are?
No, I'm not. As much as Zimbabwe has players from Udinese, from Swansea City, yeah, they've got players that seems to be at the highest level in Europe, but it has been proven that when it comes to African Cup of Nations, it's not only about players that are playing abroad and all, it's just all about the combinations and the maturity of the team. So I'm not expecting any surprises from those. The only surprises that I might be expecting is maybe a draw against Egypt or a fluke win somewhere. But the two out and out winners for me in Group B, it's going to be Egypt, followed by South Africa. I think South Africa will come second of Egypt, mainly because I think Egypt has more to prove than anyone. When you look at them, they are the highest winners of this tournament, winning it more than any other team. But this is the same team that we've knocked out. So I don't think we'll have issues. You look at Egypt as well. Yes, they're bringing your Mamouche, your Mohamed Salah, who for me will be playing for a contract. But we have shown that we can still beat these teams. So I am rooting for Egypt and South Africa to go through. The only thing that was just coming to my mind is you look at the key players in Bafana. I hate it when the key player becomes a goalkeeper, mainly because if you are more dependent on the goalkeeper, then where's the goals coming? But then it then brought me to say, you know what, I think we are going into this game with Apolis having to lead us into glory, because Apolis, ever since Coach Hugo Bruce has been in the national team, the boy has been marvelous to watch. So I'm rooting for Egypt and South Africa out and out winners.
I would like to differ with you. I expect South Africa to top the group and become number 1, to beat Egypt, to beat Angola. I don't see why South Africa cannot beat Zimbabwe, because Zimbabwe, they're in a chaotic environment where they have some of their best players like Munetsi are not part of the team. Egypt, again, is full of local based players. And I'm not forgetting the fact that Pyramids also is the strongest Egyptian team, where they faced Orlando Pirates and Sundowns and defeated them to win the Champions League. But being coached by a former player called Egypt, like Hossam Hassan, what's your take? What's your take about it? Because this is a guy who has won a lot of Africa Cup of Nations with Egypt. He was a striker. I mean, he's a record goal scorer for them, but now he's a coach. How instrumental to have a guy like him, who is a legend, who understands the culture of the Egyptian very well. Egyptian football.
I think it sometimes comes as an advantage and can be a disadvantage on its own, Nadim, because in most cases, blessings and burdens are cousins. It depends which one will come out tops. In
So
most
it's not
cases,
planted in the right soil.
We will have to see, to be honest, I mean, there's coaches that have played and that have helped their countries as players winning trophies, and when they took over to coach, they continued with the same momentum. If I can take it back to Senegal, I think Senegal won their AFCON with a former player as well who have
Yes, a
transitioned
local
to
coach,
become
yeah.
a coach. Yeah, so anything is possible. It depends with what type of a human being that person is. In most cases, it can become a disadvantage when you have a coach who hasn't transitioned fully from being a player to being a coach, who still wants to see himself playing, who doesn't coach the players right, who wants to coach with ego and maybe wants to reference with himself, but when you have a coach that has accepted and that has transitioned and they know their role now as coach and not to put the perspective as they are still playing, it can be instrumental and become advantageous.
Yeah, Coach KP, please take us. We are moving to Group C. Group C, guys, we've got Nigeria. The people who talk a lot, but they underachieve. They claim to be the Brazilian of African football, the Nigerians. But I mean, I'm talking about the country with over 200 million people, but they can't qualify for a World Cup. But obviously, they've got quality players like Victor Osimhen, who plays for Galatasaray, Atalanta, Lukman, who was very good, and then we've got Chukwueze, who plays for Fulham. They've got the start of the team, but what's your take, Coach KP, about Group C? Then we've got Tunisia. I mean, it's a country that is always there and about in African football. Uganda, really, it's more like local-based players, no major. And then we've got Tanzania.
Yeah, I think for
Not much is
in
expected from Tanzania. The only thing we know is that the woman who's the president in Tanzania is trying to kill people. They're beating people and all those kind of things.
well, for me, I think it's for Nigeria to lose it. Man, you look at the players that you just mentioned, your Chukwueze, your Victor Osimhen, your Wilfred Ndidi. I think they've got an all-started team. So for me, it's for Nigeria to lose it in this group. They should come out at 100%. But it has shown again that football doesn't have a therefore. But I think for me, this is a straightforward. It's gonna be Nigeria and then with Tunisia, mainly because I was checking the striker for Tunisia who plays for Elias Ashraf, who plays for FC Copenhagen. It looks like he can bang in goals, but it also depends. You see, when it comes to strikers, it depends on what kind of a team are you playing in. Is the team playing for you, or are you gonna be playing for the team, or vice versa? So I think for me, it's Tunisia against the other against Nigeria that are going through. Those two are gonna be number one, Nigeria. I think they should have 100%, and then Tunisia followed. Your Tanzania, your Uganda, no man. I know African football always has surprises, but I don't see surprises from those teams. Nigeria.
No, definitely. There's always a surprise in African football. You can't roll it. Remember when Zambia won the AFCON in 2012? No one expected Zambia with PSL-based players. And they beat Ivory Coast with the European-based players, the guys who just won the Champions League, both Drogba and them. Boyaya Torre winning the treble with Barcelona. There's always a surprise in African football.
Nadim, before
Yeah,
Tola comes in,
definitely, Nadim. I think, why there's so many surprises in AFCON? Most of the African-based players, they see AFCON as a ticket to get away from poverty, being in Africa. So we are bound to expect a lot of surprises taking part. Players want to prove their worth so that the scouts can see them, take them out from the disaster of most of the leagues that they are based in to be selected and play in Europe and earn money that is valuable and that is worth, that can be a generational reoccurrence for their rightful thing. But going through in Nigeria, I mean, the only concern I have with it's the defense. But I was so surprised to see them including new called up players. They've also have the player that they called who's a centre back who plays in England, which they've actually did their analysis and saw where they are lacking. Once you're having such a star-studded team, and it's a concern when you don't have a star-studded goalkeeping department as well for me, because most coaches will tell you that players can win you games, but goalkeepers will win you championships. So with them not having one of the best goalkeepers in their countries who's playing maybe abroad competing in the best leagues, it leaves a huge concern to me. Is Nwabali going to be the first choice? Is he going to help them? Because we saw Echipa, even he was dropped in the previous games. So, but I see Nigeria going through with Tunisia, because Tunisia is strong as well. They always make it out of the group stages. They fumble here and there when it comes into the knockout stages when they face other big boys.
No, interesting, Kola. You're right. The Nigerian defense is not that strong because the captain, Ekong, just retired ahead of the Africa Cup of Nations, which is very strange. This is the guy who was the player of the tournament in the last AFCON, who was scoring a lot of goals for them. He's their leader, but ahead. That just shows how divided they are, the Nigerian team. There are also stories that are coming from their guys that the coach, since he has been appointed, he has not been paid. The under-20 coach in Nigeria has not been paid. The under-15 coach has not been paid. The under-17 coach has not been paid. The under-23 is not been paid. Coach, as a coach, how difficult for you to motivate your players if you are not being paid, but you are expected to deliver results?
Hey man, I think it goes to not only in soccer. I mean, if you are working and you're working hard, you deserve to be rewarded. So you can only understand the pain that he's taking back home. I mean, families looking up to him to saying this person is being paid. So if you are not being paid and then players are not being paid as well, how do you motivate? But I think for players, it becomes sort of a win or loss, Nadim, because also remember, like Utola has said, they're not only playing for themselves, but they're playing for contracts. Most of other players want to get out of Nigeria, go play in Europe and see get better life or better salary. So it's a bit difficult, but it's not the first time where we see just before AFCON and there's teams that are countries that are having issues with payments. I mean, we just had with us South African players before they left, they were discussion before they left. Safa wanted to give them 32, they wanted 50. So these things happen in Africa, which is bad. Hopefully, it changes the
They
narrative of
wanted
everything.
50,000
Hopefully,
50,000 a match.
no, 50%. I don't know how
So
much
they
is the
wanted how much?
50%, but I don't know the amount. I just know the percentage. Safa wanted to give them 32, but they wanted 52%, 50%. So yeah. So it's bad that every time when AFCON comes up, there's payment issues for me. I think it needs to come to an end. I just don't know how and
I
when,
think
but
so.
it looks bad.
I think Bafana players, honestly speaking, I'm not trying to be funny, but it's becoming a problem that I remember even in the Korea World Cup, Skrima Shabalala was talking with it before the game, there was a problem with bonuses. So most of these guys, they are getting paid a lot of money. And SAFA, we know that they even have problems in paying employees at SAFA. But with this thing, every time a major tournament is being called, they want this money, this money, this money. Can they go there and represent the country, then try to fight for the bonuses when they come back? Because it's becoming a problem. You never hear in England or Spain, most of the players don't even get paid to play for their countries. But in South Africa, it's like we always put the bonuses first. I'm not sure what to think of that, guys. Let's move on to Group D. We've got Senegal, the former champions. They've got Sadio Mane and Ismail Sarr from Crystal Palace. Then we've got DR Congo, where there's Pemba, the captain who plays for Marseille, and Cedric Bakambu. Then Benin and Botswana is there, obviously. You remember Chatoeti Tlokwe from Kaizer Chiefs. What's your take about Group D, and what can we expect? Who do we expect to top the group there?
In my opinion, it's obvious. Senegal is going to top the group, followed by DRC Congo. Not writing Benin off, because Benin, they are party spoilers as well. They are capable of making it into the next round. You know, what I like about the Senegal is that the team that won them the AFCON, most of the players are still there, but they integrated the young players to balance the team so that the older generation, when it comes out, as Abu Sadio Mane, I think there's a high possibility to this might be his last AFCON, in my opinion, you know. So the integration is working smoothly,
why do you
perfectly.
think it might be his last AFCON? Why do you think Mane might be
Looking
that?
at
Because
his
AFCON is
age,
being paid. But AFCON, you mean he's not going to be playing football next year? Because AFCON is being played almost every year. Because even
yeah,
his
but
age
it
is not that
depends,
old.
Nadim.
He's 33 years
It,
old.
it
He's not that old.
yeah, the next AFCON he'll be what, 35 going to 36. What are the chances of
No,
him still
34. Once
wanting
AFCON is
to?
almost every year, Mos. What is the next AFCON?
Yeah, the next AFCON will be in 2 years. So this AFCON is going to play from 2025 to 2026. So the next AFCON will be in
Okay.
2027 to 2028. So with the way that they've been doing things, integrating the younger generation so that when these ones are closer into coming out, probably they'll have another Sadio Mane to replace him. Maybe they've already have him in the books to know or this is the replacement for our striking force, because they cannot only rely on Sadio Mane as their top player. They want to have somebody who's going to take over, you know. So they
No,
moving
they do have
swiftly with their
they don't
transitioning.
they do have a lot of superstars actually. Senegal. This is a team that's got the best players in the whole of AFCON. If you look at the players like Nicholas Jackson, who plays for Bayern Munich, you've got players like who play for PSG, like Ibrahim
Abombaye
Baye.
for PSG.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Nabo Ndiaye from Everton. So they do have the best players. It's not like
Abo
they are
Ismail
reliant on Mane.
Issa
Mane
from
maybe
Crystal Palace.
exactly. Mane is just a player that is known. That's why if you look at the Senegalese team, they don't even have a single player that plays at home in Senegal because they've got superstars all over the world. If you are playing in local football in Senegal, you
Yeah,
don't
that's
even
why
get
I'm
selected
saying,
from the national team.
and that's why I'm saying it. Looking at the age of the other players that you are mentioning and comparing it to the age of Sadio Mane, chances are
Hmm.
the system is going to push him out, and he would have served the nation with utmost pride. And I think he'll be at a happy place. We don't want to see the continuity of bullying, of when maybe he happens to want to go into the federation taking over and does not want to see people breaking his records and whatever that he has done. So with how they are doing things, I
No,
I am for
we're going
Senegal, to
there,
be
Kola.
honest.
We're going. Don't worry,
You
Kola.
know,
Save that. We're going to Cameroon.
yeah.
Continue. What's your
So
second group D?
looking,
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with Tola. I think it's an out and out win for Senegal. For me, Senegal are sort of the overall favorites to win AFCON for me. If you look at how their squad is well balanced. You just spoke about Nicholas Jackson. For me, who has so much to prove, especially looking at the fact that Sadio Mane might be on his way out, and also for the mere fact that it's a superstar team. So, and it's well balanced. There's integrated of the youngsters and the old or the more experienced players. So I think you're looking at Senegal and DRC Congo. I just heard that Ufistin Maela is not renewing his contract. So maybe this is another tournament where he will be raising his hand to say, I'm not renewing, teams can come up for him. So I think Senegal and DRC Congo will go through.
Yeah, no, it's difficult to disagree with you guys. If you look at Senegal, they expected to one of the immediately they enter the tournament. Senegal, you can say they are one of the favorites as they won the AFCON in 2021. But again, DRC, they look like they look like they can even qualify actually for the World Cup. So DRC, I can't underestimate them. Democratic Republic of Congo, they are very, very good. They've got European-based players like Mpemba, who's the captain and also one of the top players at Marseille. With Benin, again, they've got their coach by high experience coach, Henot Raw. So with Botswana, obviously, for me, it's more like an achievement being there. Our neighbors will just come back quick. They will play 3 games and come there. Yes, there's always a surprise in African football, but we're not saying Botswana can win AFCON. Okay, let's move on to Group E. In Group E, we've got Algeria guys, Riyad Mahrez, we know him from Man City and Leicester City. Mohamed Amoura is obviously their top scorer. Then you go to Burkina Faso. They've got players like Tepsoda, who plays for Bayer Leverkusen, and Petra Troy. Then you've got Equatorial Guinea again, where they've got Nsu, who did so well in the last AFCON, if you remember him. Then we've got Sudan. Hey, Sudan, guys, it's painful what's happening there. There's so much like instability in the country, but obviously football unites. not much is expected from Sudan, obviously. But guys, who do you pick to be in the top two between Algeria, Burkina Faso, Equatorial Guinea, and Sudan?
This one is a very difficult one. I see Algeria making it through easily, but I am caught in between Burkina Faso and Equatorial Guinea. I can't really say much about the Sudan. I don't know if maybe their preparations going to AFCON was well served concerning the whatever that is happening in their country, but they can use that as a motivation as well to spoil the party, you know, where everyone least expect them to come out tops. They will fight for their nation, fight for their people so that they
Yeah.
can bring change home. They can bring hope. But my
Mm.
opinion, I see
Mm.
Burkina Faso going through with the Algeria or the Equatorial Guinea. So in my opinion, it's Algeria with Burkina Faso or Equatorial Guinea, depending how they're going to play against each other.
You are giving us three, and
No,
only two
definitely.
teams go through.
Anything is
There's
possible.
a
That's why
third,
I'm saying
maybe
my
there's a
money is
third
with
best
Algeria
team.
on this one.
There's a third best. Remember, Ivory Coast became number 3 and still made the
Yeah,
group stages. There's a third best. Yeah.
and
Yeah,
they
it's
went
possible. You
all the
can't rule
way
it
to
out.
win. They went all the way to
Yeah,
win
to
the
win it.
AFCON,
Yeah.
by the way. After sacking their coach.
Yeah.
So
Well,
anything
for
is
And they
me,
beat
possible.
Nigeria. They beat them. Yeah, it's possible.
for
Coach
me,
KB,
I
what's
think
your
it's.
take on Group E?
I'll go for Algeria and Equatorial Guinea, man. I don't know why Guinea. I just my heart just says Guinea. I think they will give. I think they might be the team to upset few big teams when it goes to the knockouts. But with Algeria, we all know it's expected for them to finish on the last four. But it's another team that also they always have these good players that shine and then they make it in Europe, but then they don't really conquer Africa. So maybe this is one of the tournaments where they will come in. I'll go for those two, Guinea and Algeria.
What do you mean they just won the AFCON, Africa Cup of Nations in Algeria? What do you mean they don't conquer Africa?
When you say they just won, when did
Remember
they
when they
when
defeat?
did they remember in the last five,
Remember when they
2017
in 2019 they defeated I think Senegal in the final.
Senegal. Yeah,
Yeah.
they beat Senegal.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you just reminded me. Yeah. No, but I don't see them going
Yeah,
through
no,
all the way.
no, you've got previous winners. Yeah, you've got
Yeah,
previous winners, and the fact that is
I'm saying sorry,
no,
man.
I'm just saying the
Just I
fact that
think
the fact that is in North
yeah,
Africa, a lot is expected from them.
yeah, and I see the continuity of the previous winners. I see Algeria beating Senegal 2019, and then Senegal goes to win it in 2021. So maybe they'll find their way back, but not on this one. I don't think they are the top four favorites.
Yeah, I for me it's very simple. I expect Burkina Faso and Algeria to go through. I think it's straightforward. And then, guys, are moving on to Group F. We've got the defending champions, the Elephants of Ivory Coast. I mean, we've got players like Wilfried Zaha. He left England, then now he's playing somewhere in the US. And then I don't know what much can we expect from Ivory Coast. But the fact is, they won the last AFCON. Then we've got Cameroon. They've got players like Brian Mbuma from Manchester United, as well as Palepa from Brighton. Then you've got Gabon. I mean, one of my best favorite strikers of all time, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Yeah, I mean, I think he's one of those legends of African football. I mean, no funny stories about him. Then we've got Mozambique. The big story with Mozambique, guys, is that a guy like Elias Pelembe, who's approaching 50 years, is part of the team. What to take about Group F?
Group F is very interesting. In my opinion, I wouldn't want to see Cameroon go through based on whatever that's been happening. You know, I don't like such hostility from leaders, man. I think you can lead with delinquency. You can lead.
What's happening in Cameroon?
I mean, in Cameroon, there was 2 squads announced, and there's been speculations that one squad was announced by the former legend, who's now a president, You know, so that type of
Oh,
leadership
Samuel
doesn't
Eto'o.
sit well with me. Yeah, it does not sit well with me. Why, as a president, you want to be involved in the squad selection? Why don't you let the coach use the players that he wants to use? We saw Onana was included in the other team and
It's
he was not
unbelievable.
included in the other team. Yeah, I mean, those things, they leave a bitter taste in the mouth. When Europeans now talk about Africa, they can pick up stories like that and say we don't have the right leadership into progressing our football into the next level, and we won't have a leg to stand on. So such stories, they are very painful to see. I mean, one of their top strikers, he's not included. He's not going to be part of the team that's going to be competing, mainly because probably
Oh,
he
Vincent
does not
Abubakar.
want his record. Yeah, he does not want Abu Bakr to emulate his record. It's so saddening and unfair, you know. So, and the nicest thing, they are in a tough group because Gabon also are a force to be reckoned with, and there's Ivory Coast. With Ivory Coast, I'm just sad not to see players like Pepe making it into the team to travel and play the AFCON, but they still have star-studded squad. They still have players like Abu Zaha, like you mentioned, as a senior player who's played in all those top leagues. He can be a greater motivation for the team to make it. And they are defending the title. I'm not sure if they are capable or they have the fire force, but they still have quite interesting players who can go out there and fight for them.
Coach KP, same group. What's
Yeah,
your take?
you know, with what Lutola has just said, you know, I grew up as a big fan of Samuel Eto'o. I mean, I loved Samuel Eto'o. Whenever I would speak football, it would be Samuel Eto'o, Didier Drogba. So to hear somebody who has played the game at the highest level and be in charge, and then you hear such stories, now you ask yourself, who's going to come and save African football if our own legends that have played at the highest are doing this? It's a disgrace to be hearing such things, man. And for that reason, I also wish they don't make it. Just so maybe if he needs to be removed, let him be removed. Because why would two squads be announced, especially to the public? If it's done on the private, this fight, let's fight on the side. But now, how does the team go there with such? It's a total no for me. And then you look at Gabon, like you just said, Patrick or Aubameyang. I think he's also playing his last AFCON. Will he be able to lead the team? Hopefully he does. Just so Cameroon doesn't make it, because for me, Mozambique is a team that is just going to donate points to the other teams. So I'll go for Ivory Coast as the defending champions. You've got Ahmed Diallo from Man United, as you have alluded. You've got your Wilfred Zaha, whom I think might be playing his last AFCON as well. And being a defending champion, already you come in as one of the favorites to come in defend your title. So I think Ivory Coast has a team. They've got what it takes to defend it. We haven't seen it happen too many times. If my memory serves me well, I think it's only Egypt that has done it. So we don't know. Maybe Ivory Coast might go all the way to defend it again. But for me, for those reasons, I would love to have Gabon and Ivory Coast go through, because, like I said, I don't see Mozambique going through total. I think they might leave with, if possible, 1 point from Cameroon, hopefully. And then Cameroon and Mozambique can just go back home.
I differ with you. I expect Mozambique and Ivory Coast to go through, simply because, as Kola said, Cameroon is run by a guy who's a dictator, because Samuel Eto'o is very evil
Data.
for denying Vincent Abubakar a chance to play in the AFCON just because you want to extend your record of having scored more goals for Cameroon to continue. Honestly speaking, that's why African football is run by people who don't really care about football at all, who don't care about the country, who care about themselves. Honestly speaking, I've never heard of that a president announce his own team and the coach announces his own team. Now we don't even know in the first match of the AFCON for Cameroon which team is going to pitch up. Is this the one selected by the president or the one selected by the coach? It's a chaotic environment, honestly, and especially In South Africa, we hear people like Lucas Atebe saying they want to run SAFA, the ex-players. If these ex-players are going to run football like this, come on, honestly speaking. I've never heard of that. Even players like people who have not played football, who are running football, you never hear that they are selecting a team like this. It's so bad. Nigeria is one of the best administrating country in terms of football. They don't pay coaches, they don't pay their players bonuses, but you never hear that the Nigerian Football Federation is selected their own team, just like Samuel Eto'o is doing. Honestly speaking, it's embarrassing, guys. And yeah, I have so much hope for Cameroon, I mean, for Mozambique, because they've got players who plays for Sunderland, even on Sporting, guys like Katamo. I mean, I think they can surprise people. There's a reason why Cameroon didn't even qualify for the World Cup. They lost to Cape Verde. I think they can lose to Mozambique, honestly speaking. This is the group where I think Ivory Coast, because people saying like players like Pepe should have been selected in the team. One other people are Kemba saying Pepe, the reason why he's not selected is because he's getting married to an adult, former adult entertainment star. So remember, people from Senegal, they are religious. Most of them, they are Islam. So they believe that you must get married and have up to 4 wives, but not women of questionable morals. They believe that the woman you must get married to must be a good woman. So it could be those kind of pressure from Senegal that a guy like Ivory Coast, maybe like a guy like Nicolas Pepe is not of good morals. But that's it for us, guys. Your last words about the height of AFCON is starting on Sunday. We'll see Morocco playing Comoros. What do you expect, guys? Do you expect a tournament where we'll see a lot of goals, or you expect a very tough tournament?
I think it's going to be a tournament with a lot of goals. I mean, the reason why I'm saying that, when you look at most teams and their attacking force that they have and the quality that they possesses with the teams that they are playing for, I mean, it's been a while since we saw a lot of African players doing so well in European competitions. So I'm just hoping that they take that experience and they take their form, they bring it back in Africa so that we can enjoy the great football, a great tournament with a lot of goals to entertain the people, to make it money's worth their while. A lot of people are ditching their vacation spots to go and make it a vacational place there in Morocco so that they can experience great football. So it would be awesome to see a tournament with a lot of goals, with a lot of entertaining football, with a lot of crowd enjoying themselves and enjoying their December holidays.
Coach KP.
Yeah, I mean,
wearing a Chippa United. Which position are they at in the lock? Chippa United.
16.
I'm a football fan. There's only 2 jerseys that my blood cannot put on. It's those 2 yellow, but hopefully I'll learn to put them on. The idea is to wear all 16 teams, but yeah, let's close it. So for me, Nadim, I'm expecting a very entertaining tournament, but I think there's gonna be surprises. There's gonna be a very, very big surprises, and I'm hoping and rooting that South Africa men will make it. And then just in closing, it's nice to see that our Betway Premiership League has almost, if not second best, but then first, with most players to be playing in the AFCON. And again, Europe needs Africa as much as Africa needs Europe.
Cola's former team, Orlando Pirates, has the most players by a single club in the AFCON. They've got 9 players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a great thing.
So how do you feel about that, Cola, that you're for?
I mean, it's a proud
Yeah, I know it's a great thing.
knowing that.
Orlando Pirates.
Big up to Orlando Pirates for the work. For the work that they are doing. It's showing. I mean, when last did we see a PSL team dominating with number of players in the AFCON? It's a rare occasion. In most cases, we used to see Egypt doing it with players playing in the same team. Most of their players were playing for Al Ahly with the times of Abu Bakr, So it's nice seeing such thing happening locally with our own. And to know that I've donned the jersey of Orlando Pirates, it
Yeah.
makes me proud, man, to show that I was in the right team with the right intentions. The progression is showing and it's slowly growing. It would have been more. We only seeing 9 now, but in all retrospect is that we know Wuti Lyle Foster is a development of Orlando Pirates, or Mohau Nkota is a development of Orlando Pirates. So we can only give 9 because it's 9 now on paper that are registered with Orlando Pirates.
No. We have to give it credit to the chairman of Orlando Pirates, honestly, to assemble such a strong team where you technically have like almost the whole team. Because one would say Siema was actually hard done for him not to be selected. He's been one of the best defenders in the PSL. Even Nemate Jela, one would say he came up very good. He should have been there. I mean, even Mabasa. One, if Mabasa was playing again, he was part of the setup. Zakhele Livasa, and then he left Orlando Pirates. I don't know where he is. Maybe Teswelele. But then Orlando Pirates, you feel like they've done well because the results also are showing in the PSL. They're top of the log, 2 trophies. And they are doing that success with local based players. They're not
Three, not
getting
two.
players somewhere. They're not getting
50
players somewhere
They're
you
Nadim,
on
don't know
3
from
now,
South
Nadim
Nadim.
50,
America.
3, not two. 3, not two.
They're
Fix
on
it.
3
3,
now.
3. 3 trophies.
3 what?
3 trophies, not 2.
Oh, there's the last one
And
where
I'm
they
happy,
beat
coach.
Sundowns and Kaiser Chiefs. They are the calling.
Yeah, and I'm happy Coach KB is the one that picked that up to correct you, Nadim. If I said it, he was gonna fight, you know? I mean, his favorite coach didn't
But
win
if I
this
was Coach
trophy.
KP, I was gonna keep quiet. I was gonna keep quiet. I
No,
was gonna keep quiet if I was Coach
I'm
KP.
glad
no,
he's
Nadim,
Honestly speaking, I was not gonna
I'm
say
glad he
that.
came to his senses. I'm glad he
no,
came to his senses.
we give credit where it's due, guys. Where is due, we give it. That's all. Nadim, close it
Yeah,
down.
but they say a wise man can change his mind once he get new information. So
Jose laid
it
the
means the
foundation.
Owato might win 5 trophies in one season.
Yes,
Owato might win 5 trophies in one season.
definitely. Not
And then
forgetting the fact that
the
Jose laid
Rivero
the foundation.
Rivero won 5 trophies in how many years? 3 years.
He laid the foundation that Wadu is excelling on.
Okay, that's it.